our 75-minute yin class. So this is going to be a class where we're going to be doing quite a bit of hip work. So you might prepare yourself mentally that we're going to be doing some of that work. And we do use a lot of props. So you might want to make sure you have a bolster, a couple of blocks, maybe a blanket nearby, and then use what makes sense. I'll give you some different suggestions along the way. So we're going to start with legs up the wall tonight. There is no graceful way to get into this position. So get as close to the wall as you can, and then swing your legs up. And then you might have to do a little wiggle to get set up right against the wall. Your arms can be wherever it's comfortable. You could place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. That can be very grounding. You might have your arms open to the side or even overhead. So again, whatever feels right for you, whatever helps you connect to your body and what's happening, it's fabulous. Do that. Once you find the position you're in, take a moment, do any last wiggles to get comfortable. We will be here for a couple of minutes. And then begin to settle in. You might start with the awareness of the space around you. So even with your eyes open, you could take a quick look around, see what's in the space around you. And then if it's comfortable, you might allow your eyes to drift closed and begin to turn that focus a little bit more internally. You might start by noticing the support of the floor and the wall. You are completely supported here. Your muscles don't need to do anything to keep you in place. So you might allow everything to become soft and heavy and just kind of sink into the floor. You might notice the air on your skin, any sounds that you hear around you. Begin to scan through your body when you're ready. So you might start at the top of your head and slowly move down. And as you scan through different parts of your body, you might first notice if there's places where you're holding onto tension that you can allow to release a little bit. Tension in our body is typically there for a reason. So it's trying to tell you that something is happening. So acknowledge it. You don't need to push that away. You might offer it the opportunity to soften a little bit. This might be through your temple or your forehead, your jaw, your neck and shoulders, your belly or your hips or anywhere else. Notice what's there. Give it an invitation to do what it needs to do, and perhaps that might be to release a little bit. As you're checking in with your body, you might also notice if there's places that feel either good or neutral. We sometimes notice only the things that are difficult and don't realize that a lot of our body actually feels pretty good. So see if you can find something, even if it's just the tip of your nose, that feels neutral or pleasant today. When you're ready, you might turn your attention to your breath and begin to notice the movement, the rise and fall of your belly and chest. Notice the cool air coming into your nostrils with every inhale. The slightly warmer air leaving with every exhale. You might also notice the pace of your breath. You're welcome to leave your breath exactly as it is, or you might invite your breath to slow down. Take full deep breaths in, filling your belly and chest. And maybe begin to lengthen your exhale, which invites your parasympathetic system to allow you to release and relax a little bit more. So spend a little bit of time noticing your breath. If you'd like to lengthen or slow it down, you're welcome to do so. If you would like, you might choose to set an intention for your practice now. That could be something as simple as staying with your breath. You might dedicate your practice to a person or situation, something outside and bigger than you, or anything else that keeps you grounded in your practice. So take about 5 more breaths, noticing whatever it is that's coming up for you. After your 5 breaths, you might choose to stay exactly where you are, or you might choose to allow your legs to widen on the wall, moving away from each other. You can use your hands to support your thighs. You might put blocks under your thighs, or just let gravity do the work and get to a nice wide-legged position. You might do this from a seated position at times, so you might notice if this is a little bit different, supported in this way, and allowing gravity to work on your legs. We're going to stay here for a few minutes, so if at any point in time you need to change or readjust, this becomes too intense, or it's just not what your body wants to do anymore, you are always welcome to come out at any point in time. You might notice what's happening as you begin to settle in, maybe noticing a stretch through your inner thighs and legs. You might notice what changes over time, if the stretch becomes a little deeper or feels different in some way. Continue to be curious throughout your entire practice of what's happening now, what's happening in this moment. Take about 5 more slow, deep breaths here. When you feel ready, bring your hands under your knees to support your legs. Begin to bend your knees and draw them together. Take a moment just to hug your knees into center, maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Notice any residual stretch through the backs of your legs. And when you're ready, roll onto one side. And begin to press your way up towards a seated position. If you would like to have a blanket under your seat for a little bit of extra lift, you are absolutely welcome to do that. Take just a moment to find a nice tall seat. Lengthen through your spine, tuck your chin. And allow your body the opportunity to come back up to an upright position with your head above your heart. We're going to spend a few moments practicing alternate nostril breathing. It's a great way to balance everything out. Sometimes in the busy summer or the middle of the heat, it can be a little distracting. We might need an opportunity to find a little extra balance. So for this, we'll use our right hand. If it's comfortable for you, fold your first and second fingers in. So we'll use our ring finger and our thumb if that's comfortable. If not, you can use any fingers that work. So we'll start by plugging our right nostril and taking a full breath in through the left side. And then we'll switch that, plug the left nostril and exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. And then switch, exhale left. Inhale left. Switch, exhale right. And continue this pattern at your own pace. If once you settle into this breath pattern, you would like to work on breath retention, after your inhale, you can pause for a couple of moments. And then again, after your exhale, when your breath is fully empty, you can pause for a few moments at the bottom of your breath. If breath retention is not comfortable for you, you can skip that part. Just take full, deep inhales and exhales using the alternate nostril breath. If at any point you become dizzy, please stop and come back to your natural breath. Otherwise, we'll continue for just a few more minutes. Take about 3 more full rounds of breath. When that's complete, bring your right hand back down to your knee and take a few breaths through both nostrils, returning to your natural breath. If your eyes are closed, you might begin to flutter them open. And you might choose to bring a couple blocks forward if you like to use blocks for support in your forward folds. So we'll begin to straighten our legs out in front of us. And for our yin practice, our feet are a little bit wider apart and our toes are just kind of naturally falling out to the side. You can still sit up on a blanket if you'd like. And another thing that's a little different than our vinyasa practice is instead of keeping our spine flat, we're actually going to allow our spine to round down. So as you do this, you might start by leaning forward with your chest like you would in a normal fold, but then round your spine down. You can either let your head rest on your blocks, or you can just let gravity do the work. So whichever one works better for your body is an excellent choice. You might notice what sensations you feel as you begin this position. So you can notice what's different after you've been here for a couple of minutes. So find that support or let gravity do its work. Nice big forward fold. In yin, we actually call this caterpillar. So we have different names for a lot of our positions in our yin classes. Sometimes when we're in these longer holds, it can become a little challenging to stay present in this moment. So as often as you need to, bring your awareness back to your breath or to any sensations you can notice in your body. So our practice is not to have that blank, empty mind, but to continuously come back mindfully and without judgment to this moment. Perhaps notice what it's like to be in stillness. For many people, this is about as long as we ever stay still and just notice what's happening in our bodies. So explore what that stillness feels like for you today. Take 4 or 5 more breaths, and perhaps notice if anything feels just a little bit different than when you started this position. Take 1 more full breath in. Stay here as you exhale it out. And then very gently begin to lift back up. Slowly coming out of this position. Set your blocks off to the side for a moment. And then bring your hands back behind you, fingertips out to the side or in. And just open through your chest, lean back, and maybe rock a little bit from side to side. So we're doing a lot of stillness, which is fabulous for our nervous system. It's actually even better to mix up a little bit of stillness with some gentle movement that helps us move back and forth between our sympathetic and our parasympathetic system. 1 more breath here. And when you're ready, lift up. You might grab your bolster and bring your right leg out wide, bend your left knee and bring your foot into your inner thigh. Your bolster can go on top of or inside your leg. We're going to do a side stretch here in our half butterfly. So you can rest your arm on this bolster. Some people like to bend their elbow and rest their head right on their arm. And then your left arm can either kind of drape over your head, or if that's not comfortable for your shoulder, you can just rest comfortably on your bolster. So notice where you feel a different stretch here, a little bit more of a side body stretch. You're welcome to explore a couple different things, see what works best for you. If your arm over your head at some point becomes too intense, you can always bring it down or just stay there. Wherever you are, notice that breath. Are you still taking full, deep breaths? Can you feel the breath moving in and out of your body? And perhaps use that breath to stay present. As often as you need to, come back to this breath in this moment. Take about 3 or 4 more breaths on this side. When you feel ready, gently release. Lift back up to center. And pause with that tall spine just for a moment. Let everything come back to center. There's some little slight wiggles your body would like to do. Give it a few moments for that. And when you feel ready, begin to set up for the second side. So this time your left leg will come out long, right foot will come into the inner left thigh. You can bring your bolster over on top of or in front of your left leg. Left arm can go long or your elbow can bend to support your head. And your right arm can either drift on top or rest down on that bolster if that is too intense for your shoulder. You're welcome to explore one and then change your mind. Maybe try a little bit deeper or a little bit less. See what's best for you tonight. Notice if you feel something happening to your right side body. As often as you need to, very gently without judgment, come back to this breath in this moment. Take about 3 or 4 more breaths here. When you feel ready, begin to gently release. You can set your bolster aside for a moment. Bring your legs into any comfortable position. Find that tall spine. If there's some gentle movements you would like to explore again, take just a few moments for that. When you feel ready, cross your ankles, roll over your knees, and come into a tabletop position. From your tabletop position, take a moment to get grounded. Press into your hands, your knees, and your toes. Find a nice long spine. Maybe press into your hands to lift up, ears away from your shoulders. And then explore a few rounds of cat and cow. So arch your spine as you look towards your knees. And then drop your belly down to the floor as you look up and let your hips tilt forward. You can move nice and slow here. If you'd like to move with your breath, you're welcome to do that. If you need to hold in any spot, you're welcome to do that as well. Take one or two more rounds. And then come to a flat, neutral spine. Look towards the front of your mat and step your right foot between your hands. And keep your hands on the floor, your knee, or overhead, and shift your weight forward. We'll take about 5 breaths here. You might notice a long stretch right through the front of your body. Maybe particularly on your left side, but it could be somewhere else for you. Full deep breaths, shoulder blades together, chest lifted. One more full breath in. On your exhale, bring your hands down inside your right foot and walk your right foot out towards the outer edge of your mat. Your toes pointed at an angle, about 45 degrees. Shift your weight back forward and let your knee drop away from your body. You can actually roll onto the pinky toe side of your right foot if you would like. You're welcome to stay with tall arms or bring your elbows down to blocks or the floor. Look slightly in front of your mat. That'll keep your neck in line with the rest of your spine. And make sure you're breathing. So this is our dragon position. It can feel very fiery through our hips. So that's very normal if you're noticing that. This will not be one of our longer holds. It's also a great place to explore doing what's good for your body. So if at any point you decide this is not working for you, you can always back out of this or choose to do something completely different. I'll take about 2 more full breaths. Notice what you're choosing to do and why. And when you're ready, come back to tall straight arms if you fold it forward. Shift your weight back and start to wiggle your right foot over towards your left wrist. Let your right knee come down to the ground. And now you're set up for a sleeping swan or pigeon variation. If you would like some support under one of your thighs or under your hips, you are absolutely welcome to do that. When you're ready, walk your hands forward. Make a little pillow for your head with your hands or maybe a block. And find your sleeping swan variation. If this does not feel good in your body, You can always move to figure 4 on your back instead. That's a more gentle version that stretches a lot of the same muscles. Otherwise, we'll be here for a few minutes, so feel free to make adjustments at any time or come out of this position at any point in time. If your attention has drifted away, come back to your breath as often as you need to. Take about 5 more slow, deep breaths. After your 5 breaths, or when you feel ready, begin to press into your hands, come back to tall, straight arms, and then shift your weight onto your right side and swing your left leg all the way around and on top. So we're going to work to stack ankle over knee and find that tall spine. If you have a lot of space, your knees kind of floating up, you're welcome to put a block or a blanket there for some extra support. Otherwise, work to get your shins kind of parallel to the mat. Sit up nice and tall and notice if something's happening. If you need more, you might bring your hands to press into your feet and add a fold. If you don't need more, you don't need to fold. This can be pretty intense for some people. We'll stay here for about 5 breaths. And then when you feel ready, if you folded forward, lift up. You might bring your hands under your legs, help them unwind, stretch them forward for a moment, maybe shake them out. Maybe tap your legs, give them some love. Blood flowing back into your legs. And maybe appreciate all the work that they do during the day. They really do a lot of work. It's nice to give them some gratitude sometimes. All right, when you're ready, cross your ankles, roll over your knees, come back to that tabletop position. This time, if you would like to do a C-spine, you might look over one shoulder and curve that hip in the same direction, or do any other organic movements that you would like to do. Take 3 to 5 rounds of something. It could be nice big hip circles. You come back to cat and cow. One more of something, whatever's feeling right in your body. And then come back to neutral. Look towards the front of your mat. Step your left foot between your hands. Shift your weight forward. I like to walk my right knee back a little bit. And hands can stay on the floor, blocks, or maybe come to your knee for our Anjaneyasana this evening. You might notice that big stretch through the front of your body again. You might notice something else entirely. Just see what's there for you. Two more breaths here. On your next exhale, bring your hands down inside your left foot. Walk your left foot out to the edge of your mat, and then point it at that 45-degree angle. Shift your weight forward as you allow your left knee to drop away from your body. Again, you might come onto the pinky toe side of your left foot. And if you would like to bring your elbows down to blocks or the floor, you are welcome to do that. You might look to the front of your mat, keep your neck in line with the rest of your spine, and maybe breathe into those tight places. I like to imagine taking deep breaths to send oxygen to the places that feel super tight. Keep that blood flowing, give it a little extra support. I don't know if it actually helps or not, but the image works in my brain, so maybe it works in yours, maybe it doesn't. Take about 3 more breaths. Also choose to come out of this position at any point in time if you would like. Always your choice. When you feel ready, begin to lift up to tall, straight arms if you fold it forward. Shift your weight back and start to walk your left foot over towards your right wrist. And let your knee open to the side and find your pigeon-like variation. For yin, we call it swan. Your foot can be tucked as close to your body as you would like it to be. You're welcome to add any version of support with blankets or blocks that you need. When you're ready, fold forward and find some support for your head. You might make a little pillow with your hands, use a blanket, a block, whatever works for you. And keep in mind that sides are often very different. This is one of the positions, especially where you might notice very different things from one side to another. You might even need different support from one side to another. So again, do what's right for your body. As often as you need to, come back to your breath. Take about 3 more slow breaths on this side. And when you feel ready, start to lift up. Press your hands, straighten your arms, shift your weight onto your left thigh and swing your right leg all the way around and on top. So again, we're stacking ankle over knee and working to get our shins parallel to the edge of the mat. Feet can be flexed, nice tall spine. If you want more, bring your hands into your feet and find a fold. If you're fabulous or you've been having a little bit of a challenge where you are, that's okay. You don't need to add a fold. But if you can, absolutely welcome to. Take about 5 breaths here. After your 5 breaths, or when you feel ready, lift up. Maybe bring your hands under your knees to help them unwind. This time, place your feet on the ground. Bring your hands back behind you and windshield wipe your legs from side to side. One more on each side. And come back to center. Lift on up and find your bolster. Place it behind you on the mat. And bring your right thigh right against that bolster. So you're making a 90-degree angle between your bolster and your thigh, or your blanket stack, or whatever you happen to have. And then from here, option, you can stack your knees or bring your left knee into the sole of your right foot, whichever is comfortable for you. Bring one hand to each side of your bolster, twist towards your bolster, and then walk your hands out. Let your belly and chest rest on your bolster. Your head can turn in either direction, whatever is comfortable for your neck. This is our deer twist. So you might notice where your spine feels a twist. You might also notice your belly pressing into your bolster or blankets with every inhale. If your bolster or blankets feel a little too far away, you can either place a block under the head side of your bolster or stack some more blankets on top of each other. Make it a little bit taller for yourself. Keep coming back to your breath and back to this moment. Our yin practice has a lot of stillness, which is very different than the rest of most of our days. And sometimes it's very easy to let our brains drift to all of those different parts of the day. So the practice is just to come back as many times as you need to. Notice what's happening right now. Take about 3 more breaths. When you feel ready, start to press into your palms. Walk your hands towards you to lift up, unwind, and bring your legs to any comfortable position. So before we do the other side, we're going to let our spines come back to a more neutral position. Let everything reset. Take a few breaths. Do any movements you would like to. And when you feel ready, you can begin to set up for your second side. So you can either flip your bolster to the other side or just turn your body in the opposite direction. This time, left thigh is right up against your bolster. You again can stack your knees or bring your knee into the sole of your feet. One hand on each side, and then twist. Walk your hands out until your belly and chest rests on your bolster. Head can turn in either direction. If you need something different on this side, absolutely feel free to set yourself up for that. And then notice your breath. Maybe again, notice your belly pressing into your bolster or blankets every time you breathe. Perhaps notice if anything's a little bit different on this side than it was on your first side. If you've drifted away, very gently come back to your breath. Take about 3 more breaths here. When you feel ready, begin to lift up, press into your palms, unwind, and find any comfortable seat to let your spine come back to a neutral position. Take a few breaths and do any movements that your body needs to do. For our final position, which might be your final rest, your Shavasana position, we're going to use all kinds of props. So keep your bolster or blanket stacked there, but you might make the far end a little higher. Maybe place a block underneath it or add a couple bolsters, blankets, stacks of whatever you get. If you have any extra blocks, you might bring them around the bottom of your bolster outside of your mat. This is an optional part. If you don't have it, totally fine. And then if you have one more blanket, you might open it up nice and wide and then roll that into a little tube. Have a nice long tube. And you'll sit right against your bolster or your pillow stack and bring the soles of your feet together. Place your blanket roll across the top of your feet, lift up your knees and wrap that blanket roll around your ankles. So you have some nice support for your knees to open to the side without it feeling like they're just flopping out. And then go ahead and walk your hands back until you're resting on your pillows or blanket stack or bolster, whatever you have. Arms can be on your blocks to the side if that's comfortable, or you can just allow your elbows to come down towards the floor, whatever works for you. Take a few moments to get nice and settled, do any wiggles you need to do. If you'd like to place another blanket across your belly and chest for grounding, you are welcome to do that. And then take a few moments to notice how you're feeling as we come towards the end of our practice. You might notice how your body feels, any thoughts or emotions that are happening, or anything else. If there's anything that you would like to keep, maybe it's a movement you explored or even a thought that you had, take a moment to notice that. And when you feel ready, allow your attention to soften and drift away. Let your body and mind take rest. Begin to deepen your breath and bring awareness back into your body. You might begin to wiggle your fingers or toes, maybe circle your wrists. Bring some small movements back to your body. Maybe bring your hands to the outside of your knees. Help your knees come together. Bring your feet as wide as your mat and let your knees rest against each other. Take a couple of breaths here. Consider your best way to come off of your bolster and up to a seat. You could lead with your chest and support your hands on the ground or roll to the side. And when you're ready, begin to make that movement and lift up towards a comfortable seat. We'll bring our palms together in Chin Mudra, thumb rests at heart. Deep gratitude that you chose to do something good for your mind and body today. Gratitude to all of our teachers that have passed this tradition down through the generations. We'll close our practice by bringing our thumbs to our forehead and bowing. The light in me bows to and honors the light in you. Thank you very much. I hope I get to practice again with you soon.